This is Francisco Perez. Welcome to another educational lesson.
By examining similar shapes and symbols that occur on a much smaller scale.
Geoglyphs are gigantic sized versions of what we know as petroglyphs. The most obvious being the rock art that we'd see on surfaces of stone rock around the world that date back many, many thousands of years.
Petroglyphs are images carved into stone, so incised or hammered away. They occur all over the world, from Australia up through Asia, Europe, Africa, through the Americas.
Perhaps more intriguing than the petroglyphs themselves are the eerie similarities between them and their geoglyphic siblings.
We see certain symbols recurring again and again. There are many geometric forms. These take the form of spirals, of concentric rings, and other more rectilinear or abstract designs. They're something that are virtually universal around the world.
One of the most interesting geoglyphs that you have at Nazca is the Sun-Star Cross geoglyph, which is really a very complicated, huge mandala of interconnected stars and triangles, and it's something we see all over the world, in Tibet. And
everything we have around us is the result of a frequency. And what that also means is that if you amplify the frequency, the structure of the matter will change.
The film you're about to see has no character.
It's by itself in matter, never spontaneously comes about. Anytime we trace
Cymatic frequencies The film you're about to see has no characters, it has no people. It's a film to describe to you and explain visually the effect of cymatic frequencies on texture, structure, water, oil. You will see many things that answer many questions. You will see living forms, living amoeba, almost animal-like creatures. You will see continents being formed, the earth itself coming into existence, explosions, eruptions, atomic explosions, bombs. You can see all this and watch it before your eyes. Everything owes its existence solely and completely to sound. Sound is the factor which holds it together. Sound is the basis of form and shape. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. We are told that this is how the worlds began and how creation took shape. If we put that into the modern idiom and say that into the great voids of space came a sound, and matter took shape. Please watch carefully.
Here is one of these forms. The material travels inwards from the edge along the bottom of the pile, rises up in the middle, and is then carried back to the periphery. Even if the intensity of the vibration changes, there is still a whole system of radio circulation. At certain frequencies, or with certain tones, an extraordinarily interesting phenomenon is seen. Watch. We see two regularly and continuously rotating areas at either end of a diameter, going round and round like weathercocks. This is the expression of a rotating wave motion. We can see they are rotating in an anti-clockwise direction. We now switch to a different frequency and produce the same phenomenon, but this time in a clockwise direction, because the frequency is different. If we go back to the previous frequency, we have the same phenomenon again in an anti-clockwise direction. Notice that this rotary movement does not affect the circulation or convection in the least.
We can also use different shaped slate. Here we have a triangular plate with a crystal attached to its underside and produce a sonorous fit. We change to a higher note and see a rather more complicated figure.
So this is one that was blocked worldwide, so I'm redoing it. So here we go. Everything in existence is the rebuilt of a frequency. The Bible tells us that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Word equals symbolic for sound frequency. The Bible is encoded with deep knowledge, and depending on your level of understanding, you either get the real meaning behind it or not. If you take the Bible literally, that there's an invisible sky daddy, you see how they're able to interpret the hidden and connecting parts of nature and sound, space, time. If they're saying there could not be something that designed this, no, sky daddy. But how could there be all this from a big bang if this is not by design? The Bible is not just a fairy tale. It is our guide to life and full of facts.
Tibet and India has mandalas and even yantras. So things like this that are so geometrically complicated and are found all over the world indicates that there was some kind of worldwide symbolic language that was brought here by a higher intelligence, probably extraterrestrials.
Is it possible that the thousands of mysterious petroglyphs and geoglyphs found throughout the world were intended to be a form of communication between early humans and extraterrestrial visitors?
So they're always pushing. It's petroglyphs. This is a form of writing. This is for the gods. For the aliens. What did it say the tongue is in heaven? Or where the creator, what tongue they say the creator speaks? What was the first language? Hebrew. You say, whoa, but this modern Hebrew cannot be our ancient language. But nobody said modern Hebrew. He's talking about the beginning of tongues, right? Was pictograph. Was the lines and the pictures, the hand, the eye, the man. That was the beginning. Let me show you. Do you remember? Oh, look at this shit. Look, pictographs. Look at it. This was the first. This is Hebrew. This is ancient Hebrew. This was translated into this, into this, into this. This is Aleph. This is Bet. When the Greeks conquered us, when their language came into existence, their language changed the Aleph Bet, which is the pictogram, to Alpha Beta, right? And then Latin into our English form, which became alphabet. So this is where our alphabet comes from. See? Boom.
Ancient astronaut theorists believe that proof of such a profound idea does exist, and it can be found by examining an ancient story associated with one of the oldest petroglyphs ever discovered. Northwest Nevada, 2013.
Because it was blocked worldwide. Okay? So, at about this point, they said, oh, McCann, blocked worldwide. And basically, it was the oldest petroglyphs ever discovered, and was discovered in Northwest Nevada in 2013. Dried up bed, what was once Winnemucca Lake. So they took carbonite samples from ancient carvings and found and read shipping techniques and other things that they could not identify. The Indians or natives of the region, the Paiutes, claimed that they did not create the petroglyphs. They said a race of giants, the Zedeka did. They lived on floating cities in the Pyramid Lake. They state that they are white with red hair. These petroglyphs was dated to 10,000 to 14,000. And you see that this date is a reoccurring date to the eldest people of the region, which is always dated between these regions. These time. So the glyphs, and then it goes into the Atacama Desert. So when we see this, come here, see these petroglyphs in the Winnemucca Lake speak of an ancient people that predated the Paiutes and was not the Paiutes. It did not look like the Paiutes. I shown you earlier that this is a form of petroglyphs which connects to the Hebrew languages, an ancient language of Hebrew. So they did not want you to hear that the Paiutes never created the petroglyphs and an older race did. See these floating cities. And we see them using this in Bolivia and South America. So all this research can be found at University of Colorado in Boulder.
Where scientists performed a series of radiocarbon tests to determine their age.
And so you see these ages. 14,000 years. So you see all these ages.
Between 10,500 and 14,800.
So you can see that my computer was acting up. And the thing kept skipping. So we're just going to look at this, fast forward, because this is the problem. So now if you look at the Atacama Desert,
teach us profound lessons about mankind's past.
The Andes region. So what it's saying is that if you look at the old maps,
the Atacama Desert.
If you look at the old maps, many of our ancient ruins and megaliths that exist today can be connected to the Atacama Desert in Chile. And back in the day, Atacama Desert was called the Moshe culture. And we know that the Moshe culture was, the Mexica was created by Quetzalcoatl, which is said to be Moshe, the great Moses from the Bible, the serpent priest. Now if you look at the Atacama Desert, and you can clearly see that that is the Andes. See the Moshe culture. All of these different things. That's the Andes connecting to our history, but they want us to believe that these are new lands, and you people were not here, and you Polynesians were not here, and none of you people were here. Just had some of these type of Indians, and that's it. Region, and that's, if I can get it bigger, right there. Sure, we got it. Okay, right there. That's the best you're gonna get. So you can see my computer is acting up, but you can see right here it says Moshe. See, they tell us his name is Moses, but his name is actually Moshe. This is the Andes. See, the Moshe is right here where Atacama is. And the Nazca, see Nazca Moshe, right? See, now you see Atacama. And you know that the Hawaiians and who are Afro-Asiatic with the girdles and the whole 9 yards, have a lot of history in the Andes. We know that the bones are the oldest connected to a Polynesian bones type as well. We know we both have shovel teeth. We know we both carry the phenotypes, and we're being separated and divided. We know that these things are here, but we're being told different, to the point where they give aliens all the credit. Atacama Desert and Chile, right? Chile, right? Now watch the map. Moshe and Nazca, same shit. Chan Chan.
Petroglyphs in the Atacama Desert that span huge.
Now I want you guys to concentrate on the dates now. They keep telling you around 10,000, 10,000, 10,000 this, 10,000 that. Alright? So just keep an eye on what they're trying to say the dates is. Alright?
Area, about 15,000 square kilometers, produced over about a millennium of time, and linking cultures from the Incas all the way up to the early Christianization of South America. The Atacama Giant itself is about 100 meters tall, and it's a huge the 15,000 square kilometers, produced over about a millennium of time, and linking cultures from the Incas all the way up to the early Christianization of South America. The Atacama Giant itself is about 100 meters tall, and it's a hugely impressive figure. It's got the most amazing symmetry and geometry, which would have required the most exquisite planning, because once you're up there digging away, you can't see exactly the proportions. It's clearly a focal point of the culture of the people who made it.
It has these very strange horizontal and vertical lines coming out of its head. Archaeoastronomers astronomers have suggested that every part of this figure was actually used for astronomical purposes. It marked the different cycles of the...
And what do we know in our cultures? That we mark the different cycles, that we aligned our petroglyphs and our megaliths to these different star systems, patterns, the solstices. We designed calendars and moon calendars. All of these things exist in our cultures and exist in these ancient books that we call ancient and the Bible. But they want to say, no, it's not you. All these things exist in our history. We have to look and not try to separate it. We have to connect it so we can see what is our real history.
Moon in every year. If you are...
And what is it to the people of the Bible? If they're farmers, if they're fishermen, navigators, what are the signs to them? What do we read in this historical writings and in this Bible, this Old Testament? What do we read these people who use the seasons, the signs of the sky? We now know that they built massive canoes and navigated the world.
Ask the local elders what the Atacama Giant represents. They will say that it represents sacred space, and that actually entering inside them allowed you communication with the sky gods.
Given that these geoglyphs have multiple layers of meaning and much knowledge encoded with them, we have to ask if maybe it's also a device to tell the locals when the extraterrestrials would return.
Although the Atacama Giant is extraordinary, it is by no means unique, as similar geoglyphs can be found in many parts of the world. Blythe, California. Located in the desert just west of the Arizona border, an estimated 300 gigantic figures can be seen etched in the arid ground. as the Blythe-Intaglios.
Sorry, man. People trying to call me. Apologize for this.
These ancient carvings depict animals, spirals, and perhaps most significantly, gigantic humanoid figures.
These intact
Petroglyphs. Hebrew. Oh, man. Somebody's trying to call me.
Petroglyphs are unique in that they are always found on the shorelines of ancient lakes that existed 12,500 years ago and prior.
And where do you see these things in Hawaii a lot of times? On the shorelines. When the sand recedes, there you see petroglyphs. Mighty language standing the test of time.
In April 2008,
Waiting for us to be able to read it.
18, author and ancient astronaut researcher David Childress traveled to Blythe to meet with
Oh my God.
Alfredo Figueroa, an elder of the local Chimawave tribe. He is also known to many in the region as the guardian of the glyphs. David was eager to see
That's how you do me, Google. Huh? Get off my nuts.
firsthand whether the legend surrounding these unique geoglyphs could be true.
They can only be seen from the air, really.
No, it can be seen from the ground, but you can see it all intact.
If you're walking on it, you really don't know what you're walking.
We'll be able to see it with the drone, I think. Get some good footage.
Action, you got a drone?
Yes, we've got it. Yeah, let me get the drone out.
Oh boy.
Okay, let me get it.
And the original tribes here were the Aztecas.
The Aztecs.
Right, okay.
Aztecs. Remember that. Who being Afro-Asian people? Afro-Mexicans and African-Americans.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
With the drone camera, David and Alfredo are able to see the Blythe-Intaglios from a vantage point that their creators never could have, at least not without the aid of some form of aircraft. But if this is true, then why were they created? And for whom?
This is old man C1. C1 means woman, and she is.
Wait another 2 weeks to make it. Yeah.
Pregnant right here.
She's like having a baby then.
And C1 means woman, and she is pregnant right here.
She's like having a baby then.
And
Okay.
right next to her is the ocelot. Ocelot is the jaguar.
Okay, so you can see it's a cat because it has a very long tail, huh?
Well, the tail is supposed to have been like
A loop.
a U. And in the cosmos, it represents the Big Dipper.
Here in this place, they came down, and because they descended from the cosmos, our ancestors created these images.
Dun 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 dun. Fucking.
And align them with the constellations so that we would understand that story.
Here. Now, if you look at our ancient cultures, the Hawaiians, all of the Polynesians, the South Central and North American cultures, what did we do? We aligned everything with the celestials, with the signs in the sky, everything.
But of all the Blythe intaglios, the one Alfredo is most eager to show David are the ones that are the largest and arguably the most dramatic.
And this is big. This thing is huge.
That's right.
They are
What the fuck? Trying to call it.
the ones representing the Aztec gods Cocopelli and Meet, the Aztec that are the largest and arguably the most.
Well, maybe one day we can get through this video. I apologize. Let's see if we
They
can
are
get
the
through
ones
this last
representing the Aztec
minute.
gods Cocopelli, better known as Quetzalcoatl, and Meet, the Aztec star god.
So it's now here we get to this, okay? We get to this person, right? Who's called Quetzalcoatl. Huh, right? Okay. Alright, we got here. Alright, now let's see where this takes us.